Welcome back, my crunchy tacos. It's SJB here, and today we're talking about the Ballista Outpost. Full disclosure, this is my favorite tower in the entirety of the game, so right from the get-go, if I'm going to be biased about this tower, I might be a little bit, just straight up. I want to talk him up a little bit because I like him, and I think that you guys should probably like him as well. But of course, this is a numbers game. We're going to try to give you guys the numbers and give you a full understanding of this tower by the end of this video. So, first things first, let's go over the cost, and we can talk about the way he attacks and how it's kind of different and weird and somewhat unusual and kind of fun. So, cost-wise, 900, 220, 400, and 660. That is a fairly fair price, but one of the more expensive regular attack damage towers in the game, but not by much, just by like a smidge. As far as damage goes, we can just look at the number down here. We can take the two numbers, add them together, divide by 2, and we get the average amount of damage that we're normally going to do for that tower. That's all that means. It's nothing fancy or special. It's just taking the number and finding the average, basically. And then what we do is we can look at the attack speed, which I got wrong in my previous videos. If you guys are really fast in watching my videos, I had the video up for about 2 hours, and I realized I made a huge mistake. The tower does not attack 4 times per shot, it attacks 5 times per shot. So every reload here, you can actually see it in action. We can see it even with a low tier here. Shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to do 5 attacks every single time it's going to shoot here, which does change our numbers quite a bit. So we're going to do an 80 total attacks per minute, which is the fastest, not by far, but by a pretty consistent amount, fastest attacking archer tower in the game, even though it does have the weird reload speed on it. So we can then extrapolate out using the attack speed and the average damage, our damage per minute. We can use that damage per minute to divide by the total cost and get our efficiency. Now this is a number that, again, is sort of just made up. All we're doing is we're taking the damage per minute, dividing by the cost, and that gives us a number that tells us how good that tower is that we can compare with other towers all against each other. If we use the exact same formula, we can always understand what that tower does. In this situation, it's quite easy. It's all about how much damage it does. And it just so happens that the numbers are between 3.56 to about 3.82. Now that is a pretty fair output of overall damage. The Royal Archers are about the same, but a little bit higher in most situations. The Dune Sentinels are usually higher, but they can definitely be worse if you don't get the max damage out of them. So this guy seems like a very fair tower overall, but slightly worse as far as damage goes than the Royal Archers in most situations. But the cool thing is the 4th tiers are almost always going to line up completely accurately, which I thought was really cool. So the main tower you're upgrading and using in the games are going to be very, it doesn't matter. It does not matter which one you go for as far as just base 4th tiers go. They're all going to do almost the exact same amount of damage, but of course you can use them in different situations to make more sense. Like Dune Sentinels are not a great average attack damage to one unit. They're better against group units, obviously, where the crossbow can still be effective against one unit. But this, of course, is not a video about all of them together. It's just an interesting fact that I noticed while making these videos, and I thought that would be interesting for you guys as well. Any which way, this is cool. It tells us that we do a pretty fair amount of damage overall, and mainly that the 4th tier is better than the other tiers. So you do want to try to get a 4th tier as soon as possible. But you can also chill with a bunch of 1st tiers or 3rd tiers and be pretty happy with that. But probably not 2nd tiers. They're, for whatever reason, I don't want to say significantly less efficient, but not as good for some reason. So, yeah. Obviously, this does not tell the entire story of the crossbow, and I call it the crossbow quite a bit here, guys, instead of just the ballista. We need to know more, and I want to tell you guys about the final nail. So this is probably the coolest and most interesting ability in the freaking game. It seems so weird. It's just like, oh, you do a weird stun. Okay, so what I want you guys to notice is that the front unit here is going to get built up, stunned together, and allows us to use our abilities on big chunks of group units here. So that is the idea behind the Red Hot Nail. You can use it in the front of the map to get everybody grouped up, or you could use it in the back of the map to keep somebody from sneaking through. So you can also kind of use it in the middle of the map just to kind of build people up as well. So it's got a use case in pretty much every scenario, but usually better in the front, better in the back, better than in other ways to use it, I guess. But any which way, the I want to call it the Red Hot Nail every single freaking time, man. It looks like a red hot nail. It's the final nail! The final nail, Chris! The final nail is going to cost $250 for the first one, and then the 2nd and 3rd tier are going to be $100 and $100 here. So, we got to go over all the details here really quickly for you guys. So the final nail, the speed per minute is going to be 16 attacks per minute. So the way that this was calculated was that it's actually every 5th attack. And if we attack 80 times, we can divide that out, and we get 16 times per minute. It's going to be the 5th attack every single time we shoot this thing out. So that does indeed make it pretty pretty common. It's, in fact, I think one of the most common abilities in the entirety of the game here, because it's based on a regular attack. Again, a big, chunky group of units that we can use our abilities on. It's kind of ridiculous, bro. Like, kind of freaking ridiculous. I like how awesome that is. To get a big bundle of people. Do not underestimate that. Of course, we cannot incorporate the stun aspect into our gold efficiency rating, but we can, of course, always keep that in the back of our mind. We can say, yes, it does affect it a little bit, but of course we cannot know 100% how much extra damage or anything it's doing, because it doesn't. It just stuns and allows you to do more with everything else. So that being said, we're going to go over to the damage. So the damage is actually told to you. It says that it does 50%, 100%, and then 150% of the regular target damage of that tower. So it's not a crazy amount extra. It's just 47, 63, and possibly 79 as an average attack. And again, it does have that weird range that we could have here, which is kind of cool. And that leads us to the cost. So it's going to be 250, 350, and 450 total. And that leads to the total damage output that we can possibly do, which leads us again to our efficiency. Okay, this is actually pretty fair. 3, 2, and 2.8. Now, this is a little lower than a lot of the other towers, so clearly if you're doing this just for damage, this is probably not what you want to do. This is not the best thing ever, but it's definitely not bad as far as damage doing is concerned. It's how much damage we do based on how much money we're spending on it. Again, very fair, but that doesn't include the stun aspect and the grouping up aspect that we just cannot overlook here. But I love it. 3, solid across the board. Again, this does not tell us all the answers. We need to go into the last little ability, which again, gotta admit, it is my favorite ability in the game. Okay, my favorite ability in the game. I love it. I love the Scrap Bomb. It's so good! So anyways, the Scrap Bomb is interesting, though, because it's not going to shoot out as common as the other things. It's going to shoot every 16 seconds, so that's 3.75 times per minute. This is the damage that it does, 103, 147, and 178. Then we can look at the total cost that it costs, 200, 400, and 600. And then we can look at the total damage that it's going to probably do to a single unit here. And that will give us the... Oh, snap. Yes. We must have made a huge mistake here. I just talked about how this was the best tower in the game and the best ability in the game, and its efficiency is 1.9. What? So we must have made a mistakey poo. Chris, you obviously are an idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're doing here. Get out of Kingdom Rush completely. Never play this game again. Or maybe we could talk about the fact that it's a grouped attack and it has a slowdown. So just as far as damage is concerned, not including the slowdown just yet. If we're attacking just 1 unit, this is going to be the numbers. If we're attacking 2 units, double it. If we're attacking 3 units, triple it. And this is what I came up with. So if we're attacking on average with a Scrap Bomb 3 units, this is the amount of damage that we'll do. 7.7 efficiency. Look at that, we just got like 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 of them. So that is then like 12 efficiency. How can you beat that, bro? That's why I love the Scrap Bomb. So any which way, if we're maxing this guy out, for sure, we're doing it in a great efficiency. Scrap Bomb has got to be one of the best abilities in the game, absolutely. You got to kill multiple units with it, though, and if you do that, obviously it's going to be pretty nice. This is a nice 3-unit grouping there that obviously we're getting 7.7 efficiency with, or 4.4 if we have a triple Scrap Bomb here. One thing you're going to notice about this is, very interestingly, is that the first tier is significantly better than the second and third tiers, and I'm not really entirely sure why. Like, we don't get any extra stun or anything like that, any extra slowdown with this guy. It just does more damage. So realistically, if you're playing with these guys, you should always get level 1 Scrap Bombs before you get level 2 and level 3 Scrap Bombs. Every single frickin' time. Alright, just trust me on that. Never buy the second tier, never buy the third tier if you can. In fact, just buy the entire map full of Scrap Bombs, and you're going to be happy. Level 1s. So, the cool thing about this tower is, again, the fact that we did not even include the slowdown in these numbers, and they're still that good. But when you have a final nail to build people up, you have a Scrap Bomb to keep people grouped together, and you can get a giant group of enemies that you could throw down with a nice artillery blast or something like that, Scrap Bomb ends up being really good. Okay, it's not even that you need to combine it with something else. You can combine it with itself, and it ends up being good. You can combine it with another Scrap Bomb shooter, and it would also be good. But any which way, I like the tower. I feel like the numbers make pretty good sense, but they are, surprisingly, a little lower than some people might expect for how much I enjoy them. The numbers do not say that this is the best tower in the game. Absolutely not. But the way that you use it, the way you combine them together, and the ways that they can add up shows that it can be one of the best towers in the game, for sure. Any which way, these are the entirety of the numbers here again. Feel free to check them out. Feel free to let me know if I've made any mistakes in my numbers here. And hopefully we can all get better at playing Kingdom Rush together. So if you guys enjoyed it, again, press that like button for me. Leave a comment below if you liked it or disliked it or whatever. Again, this is a remake of the previous video that I had because I made a mistake in my last one. So seems like I'm making a lot of mistakes these days. But I like to correct them before we get too deep into it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a super duper delicious day.